will call the August meeting of the Paulding County Industrial Building Authority to order. First item of business will be the approval of minutes from the July 16th meeting. You received a copy of those. Anybody note any errors or omissions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Underwood. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is the approval of financial statement. You received a copy of those. Any questions regarding the financial statement? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Shipp, second by Mr. Underwood. Any discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, reports and updates. Atlanta Film Studios, Blake.
You should have the hold report in your documentation. It's just a simple spreadsheet. It looks like this. It looks like hopefully we're going to have an announcement next week on the next show coming in. We have a verbal commitment and we're waiting on a contract. So that's very exciting. That'll take us from September through the end of the year, through December. So that looks really good. We have a second show that looks really, really strong. They were wanting to start in the November time frame. However, if we're going to be booked through the end of December, that won't work. So we have gone back to them and asked them whether or not they could shift their start date to January 1 for that show, and we're waiting for a response back from them. So if they agree to shift theirs from November back to January, then we'll have two back-to-back shows, which is good. Yes?
The one that's here for September through December, are they
Yes.
taking both 20,000?
They're taking the whole facility, yes. So that wouldn't allow for the other to come in and start any sooner than January.
So the other two that's below that would not be able to come in.
That is correct, yes, that is correct. And you can see the holds, if you noticed up underneath the name, you have first hold, second hold, third hold. So first hold is the priority, and they have the contract or the agreement on the first hold. So that's kind of how the way those holds are working there. If there's any questions on it, I'd be glad to address them.
Update on Paulding Commerce Park.
Paulding Commerce Park has had a little bit of activity over the last month or so on showing the site in the back. We are still working with the architect, Jim Croft Associates, on the landscaping plan around the sign and the entrance. We did take some bids on the landscape plan, had a little bit of a concern or an issue with quantities. The quantities, we were getting different quantities from different landscapers on the bids. So we sent all of that back to Jim Croft and asked him if he could figure out what the difference is in quantities between the different bidders and resolve that for us. So I was hoping to have a bid for you today to be able to award to start installation out there, but it looks like we're going to have to push that forward to next month, so they can figure out what this quantity issue is between bids. That's pretty much it on Paulding Commerce Park.
Any question on Paulding Commerce Park? Update on the Dallas Industrial Park.
Dallas Industrial Park, we're waiting on the final survey of the additional 10 acres that we acquired in the trade. We do, as you'll recall, have to have that 10 acres rezoned. So we're waiting on the survey to get completed so that we can do the exhibit that's required for the zoning. So should have the survey back within the next week or two, and we'll go ahead and fill out applications and get the exhibits ready for rezoning on that 10 acres. So hopefully have that done hopefully before the end of the year.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah. Well, if you go into the park and you turn left and left,
Yes.
is that the sheriff's training center up there?
If you turn into the park and you take a left and you follow that all the way around to the back, and then on the right-hand side, it's everything that's to the north of the power lines. So the power lines that run across everything to the north of the power lines. They're moving along very, very well. I think they're pretty much done with their grading out there. So I think they're going to start going vertical pretty soon.
Any other questions on Dallas Industrial Park? Report from the West Georgia Joint Development Authority, Mr. Shipp.
Nothing new to report. Summer meeting is supposed to be next Thursday, so should have something to report next week.
Report from Paulding Chamber, Ms. Wright.
Last week, we hosted a luncheon with Congressman Tom Graves. It was a great meeting. He updated us on the Transportation Empowerment Act, immigration, and his trip to Israel just recently. We have our Ragsdale Heating and Air, our signature event this Friday. Looking forward to it. It is basically sold out. And let's see what else. Our governmental affairs meeting, which is next Monday or next Tuesday, will be looking at the Clean Water Act. And our Georgia Power Luncheon on September the 4th, we are hosting our Public Safety Day. And our keynote speaker this year is Shan, did I say her name? Cooper, who is the Vice President and General Manager of Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Company. So she will be our guest speaker for that.
Any questions for Carolyn? I do want to make a note, when you talk about the Clean Water Act, for the general public, EPA, which is the federal Environmental Protection Agency, does have a new proposed rule on waters of the United States, and it will greatly broaden what those waters are. There is a website run by the Georgia Farm Bureau called ditchtherule.com. It basically says that any place that water stands at any time would be a water of the United States. So if you have a dry spring on your property, or if you have a pasture and you have a low spot that holds water at some point in time after heavy rain, you would be subject to federal rules, and you would have to go through both the EPA and the Corps for any changes to your property. So if you don't think they're broad reaching and far enough now, wait until they pass that. That will all but preclude general private use of the property. You'd have to have a permit from them on anything, any changes or alterations you make. But again, the website is, I think, ditchtherule.com.
Absolutely. We're putting it up on our website as well.
And the
Very important, and the public comment period lasts until October. That and the rules on clean air are both being changed and looked at. So if you have any interest in those should be posted, and you can place public comment on those as private citizens or organizations. Paulding EDO, Yolanda, you can just come up to this corner or stand there, wherever you want to do, it'll be fine.
Good morning, I'm Yolanda Newell. I'm assistant to Jamie Gilbert for Paulding County Economic Development. He's not feeling well this morning, so I'm standing on his behalf. Just wanted to let you know that the annual meeting is tomorrow, and we will have our Board of Directors meeting immediately following that meeting. And it'll be out at the Wayne Kirby Center, Burnt Hickory Park. Also, PCED continues to work with several existing and expanding highway manufacturers on getting sewer lines extended to their facilities. Also, Project Abbey, a 100% memory care facility, is expected to finalize a location in Paulding near the new hospital in the next 45 days. Two projects, education and logistics, are looking at locations in Dallas. And also, the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce will have a prospect visit to Paulding next month from one of our polished aerospace suppliers that both of us have been working with since 2012. And then last, Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce also expects to bring 100+ persons headquarter manufacturing project to Paulding for a visit in September. This is a project we have been working on with them for several months, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Yolanda. Okay, we'll move into approval section number 3. The first one is the approval of the FY 2015 budget to be presented by Mr. Swafford.
I notice how much quicker Yolanda is than Jamie.
Yeah. Smarter and everything else.
Paula.
Caller.
Yeah, much better to look at. We'll start, you have two budgets in your backup documentation. One is Industrial Building Authority, the other is Atlanta Film Studio, so I'll start with the Industrial Building Authority. Again, I'm not going to hit on every single line item, I'm just going to hit the highlights, and if you've got questions, you can certainly ask those. In income, we of course have what we call governmental contracts, which is from Paulding County Board of Commissioners, and then our two rental incomes, Paulding Jet Center and Silver Comet. Dropping down below to expenses, a couple things I want to point out here. D&O insurance, $24,735. That has continued to go up each year. I think we were at about 10 or 12,000 about 5 or 6 years ago, and it just keeps on ticking up. I guess that's just part of the world that we live in. At some point in time, we may have to look at some other options there, but it is what it is for right now. Professional fees below that. You can see our legal fees have gone up substantially. I don't think that surprises anybody. Again, just kind of is what it is. We have an ongoing lawsuit. We have to defend ourselves, and that's the cost. Below that's accounting. That's Chuck Posey. Below that, professional services, which is engineering. Below that, staff services and professional fees, which is the chamber contribution. And I will point out that has gone down by 50% again. So the chamber has, over the last several years, cut that number from, going back about 5 or 6 years ago, that was $125,000 a year. Went to 75, went to 50, went to 25, and now it's at 12.5. So can't say enough about what they've done to help us out and get on their feet. Below that, you'll see we have lawn care and landscaping. We're now doing, of course, lawn care at both the industrial parks, the Dallas Industrial Park, as well as the Commerce Park, as well as around the new hangar. There will be landscaping maintenance that will be required around the new hangar, as well as the other properties that we own. So our landscaping bill kind of continues to tick up as well. Dropping on down to property development expenses, we budgeted 30 grand in land development and engineering for continued property development at Paulding Commerce Park, as well as Dallas Industrial Park. That's pretty much the highlights on the IBA budget. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Do you have any questions?
I do. You just said under lawn care and landscaping, we know we take care of both of the parks,
Yes.
industrial parks and stuff. But you made reference to the hangar. I thought that was under the air.
The corporate hangars.
Oh, the corporate.
Yes, the
Okay.
corporate hangars is an IBA property, so
Okay.
we haven't yet started the landscape on it, but in this budget year we will. So the
Okay.
landscape will be installed in the next month or two as they finish up the project. Then we're gonna have to have it maintained for
I
the
just
following.
wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Clarified.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to the Atlanta Film Studio. Go
You
ahead.
want, since they're two separate budgets, we're gonna do adoption number 2.
Probably should, yes.
All right, that's the IBA budget, you've heard it. Is there any further discussion? Is there a motion on its adoption?
Motion to approve the.
Have a motion by Mr. Shipp, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Underwood, any discussion? All
I will
those,
not vote.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0 to 1 with an abstention from Ms. Wright because of her relationship with the chamber. Okay.
All right, moving on to the Atlanta Film Studios budget. I'll give my standard disclaimer. This budget was created by Nick Schmerigan with Roadtown Enterprises, so I am passing it through to you. I have not made any changes to this budget. It is, for all practical purposes, the exact same budget that he submitted last year. Really not a whole lot has changed on here other than the incomes. He did adjust the incomes. I think last year he had a little bit higher number on the income, so he adjusted that down a little bit. And most of the other items underneath expenses are pretty much almost identical to what they were last year. The property management fees, of course, went down from last year because we renegotiated this contract in January of last year. So The property management fees have gone down in accordance with the new contract that we had with him as of January of last year. So if there's any questions on any specific item, I'll address it to the best of my ability.
Any questions? Is there a motion on adoption?
I make a motion.
Have a motion by Mayor Debbie to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next item is to declare surplus a 2004 Chevrolet Impala. I think we should give that to Blake for sentimental reasons.
If I start to cry as I present this, please forgive me, it's a very sentimental moment. The intent with the Impala is not only just to get it out of our parking lot, but the intent with the Impala actually is I've talked to Tim Atchison with Fleet Maintenance, and what we'd like to do is try to swap vehicles with the county. They've got some pickup trucks that are still in decent shape, just got very high miles on them. We do need that type of vehicle at the airport where we can do the runway inspections, taxiway inspections, where we can go out into the safety areas and pick up debris or trash or get dead critters off the runway if somebody happens to hit something. So we have the need for a different type vehicle that we can leave on the airfield. We can put lights and radios in so that it can operate all around the airfield. So Tim seems to think that with their new budget, with their FY15 budget, they have some vehicle acquisitions in that budget, and he seems to think that he'll have something that he can swap with us. So several county departments have a need for just a regular vehicle like this from time to time, just to run errands or whatever. So he seems to think he might be able to place this vehicle somewhere else and get us something that would be more usable for us on the airfield. So that's the intent with the surplus.
So the declaration of surplus should also include permission to dispose of in a trade with the county or at auction if necessary.
Yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion in that regard.
Make a motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Underwood. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Discuss access for Highway 278 property.
This is going back a little ways, so some of the newer members on the board may not be real familiar with this, and I can get you an exhibit. I'll email you an exhibit to help out. But at the corner of Holseytown Road and Highway 278, we own about 10 acres there. It's not directly on the corner, but it's offset a little bit to the east from the corner. We bought that property, I guess, probably in 2007, 2008. We acquired it just as a standalone industrial site. We did have the property rezoned, so it's zoned for industrial development. However, one thing that we have not done is we have not gone through the Georgia Department of Transportation to get access to the property for industrial development or commercial development. So as of today, the access to that property is a 20-foot wide residential access point. Obviously, we can't develop the property or sell the property with a 20-foot wide residential access, so we need to go ahead and start the process, which takes, give or take, 9 months to a year to go through the process with the state DOT to get that access changed from a 20-foot wide residential access to a 50-foot wide commercial driveway. So just wanted to give you an update that we're starting that process. I have requested a proposal from Croy Engineering to prepare all the documents that are necessary to submit to the state DOT for that. We are going to explore one other option with that piece of property, and it would be to gain a secondary access off of Holseytown Road. In order to do that, we would have to acquire some additional property, but it may be worthwhile. The access that we're going to have on 278, once we go through this process, is just going to be a right in and a right out. So depending on the type of end user that ends up with that piece of property, there may be a need for secondary access on Holseytown so that they could get in and out at a median break location where Holseytown comes into 278. So Just wanted to give you a brief update on
How much land, how much property is there?
that. I believe we have 10 acres.
Any other questions on that? Next item is the Waterline bid and construction for corporate hangar.
Our bids on the water line extension from the water tank down to the new hangar are due August the 28th. So wanted to give you a heads up that we are going to need to do a called meeting sometime within a week or so after the bids come in on the 28th in order to approve those and get those folks started to work. The water line right now is the critical path for our CO in the hangar, so we're not going to be able to wait until the next IBA meeting. So thought it best to give you a heads up that that's coming and let you know that we will have to do a called meeting for that when I have those bids in. Obviously, we want to get the bids in and make sure the bids are competitive and make sure that there are no problems with the bids. Once we've done that, then I'll send out an email notification to you to see when you're available to do that call. Any questions on that?
All right, next item is the PCIVA meeting schedule, September and October, same issue as we discussed in the airport authority meeting. And at that point, they agreed to move it to the 24th of September. And so if there's a motion to do the same for the IBA, I'll entertain that at this time.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Mr. Underwood and a second by Mayor Debbie. Any discussion?
Just to note that I'm gonna have to do some things to make that, since we're not doing, I'm gonna try to move it.
Okay.
Just like that.
All right. Anything else? All those in favor? Are you speaking or raising your hands, or anybody got a vote? Passes unanimously. We do need to go into executive session for the purpose of litigation, land acquisition, and personnel. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to enter into executive session for litigation, land acquisition, and personnel.
Have a motion by Mayor Debbie. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we should be back shortly.